Today is Monday, February 17th, and tomorrow early voting starts in the state of Texas, the Republican primary. And my question to you is, how many times are you going to vote in this upcoming primary? It's kind of a weird question. I'm sure Democrats could, get all freaked out and say, I'm encouraging voter fraud. But let me explain. I want to know how many times you plan on voting, because I've had a theory that I think has borne true over the last several years and continues to be confirmed each election cycle, which is that the most informed voters in Texas vote a lot. Because the truth is that each and every one of us have friends and family who are Republicans, who are active, who generally care about the direction of our nation and state, but they're busy people. We actually have a representative republic for a reason, which is the fact that the average citizen is engaged in a whole lot of other things in their life, and they are not on a daily basis consumed with the world of politics. Which means that oftentimes when early voting starts and they realize I need to go to the polls, they're going to text or call or Facebook their friend that they know takes more time to research this information. And they're going to ask you, hey, who should I vote for? And so that's my question to you. How many times do you plan on voting during this upcoming election? I'm going to tell you a couple things that I do. So first and foremost, I live in the San Antonio area, but I have friends all across Texas. We have listeners, and people will email us and text us and Facebook message us and say, hey, I want to know who to vote for. And so I know some in these different regions, and I can provide recommendations. I also have the list of organizations that I trust, like Empower Texans and Texas Homeschool Coalition and Texas Right to Life, Texans for Vaccine Choice, some of these leading grassroots organizations, Grassroots America, We the People, which is Joanne Fleming's group out of East Texas. So you have these main organizations, and you can, Gun Owners of America as an example, and you can take a list of these organizations and make this list so that when people say, hey, I'm trying to figure out who to vote for, you can say, hey, here's a list of organizations that I trust, see who they are backing in your community. So that's one thing. The second thing is when it comes to your actual community, if they're in North Texas or Houston, then I understand if you live somewhere else in the state, or if you're in Houston and somebody asks you about San Antonio, you might say, hey, here's a list of trusted organizations, see who they're supporting, go in and vote. There's a couple other things I want to encourage you to do. One, within your actual region, for me, it's San Antonio and, the greater Hill Country, get to know the candidates. Take some time to understand your local races, make a list of how you're voting. And I actually put it on like a little note in my iPhone, because I get texted constantly by people, and I literally just copy and paste that entire list, and it has everybody from the top of the ticket to all the way down to the constable races, right? And because this is a community in which I am engaged, I have an opinion. And so I can share that with a lot of people at my church, friends of mine who I grew up with that are here in the San Antonio area that will say, hey, we're going to go vote. Two, make sure to encourage people to go vote. Okay, so if you get out there and post on your different social media platforms and actually say, hey, I'm going to vote, please get out and vote as well. And if you need any voting recommendations, send me a message. You will start getting messages from people, and they'll say, hey, thanks for reminding me. I need to get out and vote. Who do I vote for? And you copy and paste that list that you built on your little note app in your iPhone and send it to them. And those people will walk in and they will cast a ballot. And in many of those contested races that they're not super educated on, they will lean on you. So again, I ask you, how many times are you going to vote this Republican primary? Because when you are able to be more informed than the average person, you're able to share that information with many other individuals, then you're going to have a greater impact. So that's the other advice, is actually tell people to go vote on all your social media platforms, and then of course encourage them with the list as they reach out to you. So make a list of trusted organizations, okay, that you can point people to. Second, make an actual ballot recommendation list personally that you can share with people. You could even post it online. Sometimes you might not want to because you might know other people running, but you can message it to individuals as they request it. Third, actually post on all your platforms when you go vote. Go vote early. Go vote tomorrow. Go vote Wednesday, Thursday, and then tell everybody, please go vote. And oh, by the way, if you need to know who to vote for, message me so that you can send this out. When you make that list of recommendations, put it somewhere very accessible to where you can just start texting it out, okay? On top of that, send some messages to a couple of your friends. If you have conservative Republican friends, encourage them to go vote personally, one-on-one. Actually reach out. Don't just blast it and post it. Do that. If you do want to, the other thing you can do is you can make little voter cards, and you can make your recommendation, and you can put it in a little letter, and you could mail that out to Republicans in your precinct, right? If you don't have that information, contact your local Republican Party and say, I'm looking for a list of Republicans in my precinct. I'm in precinct 101. I just wanted to reach out to some of my neighbors. Can you provide me with the addresses? And I bet you your local Republican Party will more than likely provide you with those lists. And then you can mail out your recommendations and say, I've taken time to do this. This is something I've done before in New Braunfels, where I've said, I've taken time to be educated on this race, and I want to let you know, my wife and I want to let you know what we believe and how we believe when it comes to races that impact our community in a significant way. So that's another thing that you can consider doing. Guys, we're in some very contentious primaries depending on where you're at in the state. You might be in an area like myself, and I've got a handful of more contentious local races, but I don't have a lot. I don't have a big contentious federal race or state house or state senate race. But that doesn't mean that we still should not be engaged. And if you are one of those people in an area that is a highly contentious election, if you're in Parker County or Tarrant County with the Chris Putnam election, if you're in West Texas or East Texas with some of these contested state house elections, then you should be informed enough to be able to reach out and tell your friends and family to go vote and encourage them on who to vote for. You can vote dozens of times. You can vote 100 times if you're willing to reach out to enough people. The most educated and informed Texans, I believe, vote numerous times every election. They simply empower a lot of their friends and family with the right information they need to go make an educated decision because they trust you. People don't trust the media unless they go to the Texan. They don't trust many of the things they get in their own mailboxes from these candidates. They don't trust the people that call them on the phone and tell them information. They trust the people they know. So if you reach out to people you know and encourage them to vote and tell them who to vote for, you would be surprised, but most of them will simply take your word for it. And they'll do that because they know that you care about Texas, that you care about the direction of the nation. So take a few minutes this week and just vote. And then vote a couple more times using a couple of these tactics to empower and educate several people in your community. Thank you so much, guys. We've got 2 weeks of early voting. I, for one, am definitely looking forward to this election being done, the first chapter of the Republican primary being past us, but we cannot let up. Focus, engage, and run all the way through the tape, run through the finish line. So every one of you as conservative activists need to reach out to everybody you know, get them to the polls, and make sure they cast the right ballots, because in many of these races, they could be coming down to a handful of votes that determine whether or not we get a conservative, principled conservative in that race, or whether the establishment wins the day. So thank you so much for all those of you who continue to engage. God bless you, and God bless Texas. Thank you so much for watching this video through in its entirety. If you're somebody who's been following on with the conversations and the commentary that we've been producing here, we're going to ask you to do a couple quick things. Go to lukemacias.com. You can give us your email and sign up. We will email you new content, commentary, conversations as we produce it. Also, you can, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can like our page, follow our page, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. This will just continue to ensure that when we produce content, it gets to you more easily. Thank you so much for continuing to support the conversations we're producing. God bless you. God bless Texas.